Lena had always played it safe. She grew up in a quiet town where church bells rang every Sunday morning, and neighbors smiled like they had no secrets. She wasn't rich, not even close, but she was raised right. At least that's what her mother always told her. No boys, no parties, no drama, just books, prayers, and staying out of trouble. And she did. She stayed out of everything. Until that night. It all started with her first real job in the city. She had just turned 22 and landed a front desk position at King Enterprises, one of the most powerful tech companies in the country. Everyone knew about Zane King, the elusive, drop-dead gorgeous billionaire CEO who barely showed his face in public. Rumor had it he was cold, dangerous, and married to his work. Lena didn't expect to ever meet him. She was just there to answer phones and not get fired. But fate, or maybe bad luck, had other plans. That Friday night, the company held a last-minute charity gala. Lena wasn't even invited, but her manager begged her to drop off a package at the hotel ballroom. She didn't have time to change out of her plain blue dress or fix her hair. She just walked in, head down, clutching the package like it was a bomb. That's when she saw him. Zane King, tall, sharp-jawed, dressed in black like he owned the entire world, which, to be fair, he almost did. Their eyes met for half a second. Lena looked away immediately, her heart pounding like a drum. She wasn't used to men looking at her like that. Heck, she wasn't used to men looking at her at all. He approached her, spoke her name like he already knew who she was. And then he smiled. "I've seen you before," he said smoothly. "Front desk, right?" She nodded, trying not to look stupid. "Yes, sir. I just came to drop this off." "Stay for a drink," he said. It wasn't a question. It felt more like a command, and she didn't know how to say no. One drink turned into 2, then 3. The music faded, the ballroom emptied, and she didn't remember much after the hotel elevator. No, she didn't do anything. She was sure of that. She remembered leaving, alone. She remembered taking a cab. She even remembered crying in the shower afterward, feeling ashamed for reasons she couldn't explain. She kept it to herself, went back to work like nothing happened. But 2 months later, everything changed. Her period was late. 3 pregnancy tests, all positive. Her hands shook. Her stomach turned. She was a virgin, wasn't she? She had never been with a man. Not fully, never crossed that line. And yet here she was, staring at a pink line that said otherwise. She didn't want to believe it, until the doctor confirmed it. And when she saw the ultrasound, her world tilted. A tiny heartbeat, a flicker of life. She ran out of the clinic, hyperventilating, convinced she was going insane. Maybe it was a medical error. Maybe it was a nightmare, or worse. Maybe something happened that night she couldn't remember. But before she could process anything, her phone buzzed. Unknown number. "We need to talk." ZK, her breath caught. He knew. Lena stared at her phone screen like it was cursed. The message was still there. "We need to talk, ZK." Her fingers trembled. She hadn't spoken to him since that night, hadn't seen him. So how did he know? Did someone tell him? Was it just a coincidence? Or worse, had he done something? She didn't remember. She didn't reply. Instead, she locked herself in her tiny studio apartment, trying to make sense of it all. Her best friend Maya was the only one she confided in, and even Maya didn't know the full truth. Lena just told her the basics. She hadn't been with anyone, but she was pregnant, and the last night she remembered being even remotely close to a man was with Zane King. "Girl," Maya had said. "Wide-eyed, that sounds like some billionaire conspiracy mess. You need to talk to him." "I can't," Lena whispered. "What if I'm wrong? What if he thinks I'm just trying to trap him? You think he's going to accuse you? He's the billionaire. You're the receptionist." Lena buried her face in her hands. Exactly. But silence didn't make things go away. In fact, it made them worse. 3 days later, 2 men in suits showed up at her apartment. They didn't knock, they buzzed the intercom and simply said, "Mr. King requests your presence." "Excuse me." Lena nearly dropped the phone. "You're not in trouble," one of them added quickly. "He just wants to speak to you, privately." "I don't want to, he already knows." Those 3 words made her heart freeze. She didn't ask how. She didn't ask what they meant. Her mind went blank, and the next thing she knew, she was in the back of a sleek black car heading uptown toward a high-rise building that looked like it was built for gods. She was escorted up to the 42nd floor, straight into a penthouse bigger than her whole apartment building. And there he was, Zane King, standing by the window with a glass of something dark and expensive in his hand. "Lena," he said without turning around, "glad you came." "I didn't have a choice," she snapped, folding her arms. "What do you want from me?" He finally faced her, his eyes, cold and unreadable, locked on hers. "I want to know why you didn't tell me you're pregnant." Her throat tightened. "How did you? I have eyes everywhere. More importantly, I was told by my legal team this morning. You had someone spy on me." "No," he said simply. "I had someone protect you in case something happened after the gala." "Protect me?" She laughed bitterly. "You mean follow me like I'm your property?" "I didn't touch you that night, Lena." "Not like that," he said, his jaw tight. "I had your drinks switched to non-alcoholic after the second one. You were too innocent to pure, I noticed." "Then how the hell am I pregnant?" she snapped, voice rising. "I don't know," he said calmly, stepping toward her. "But the fact that the baby exists and that you haven't been with anyone means something happened. Something neither of us understands yet." She stared at him, unable to breathe. "Are you saying I was drugged?" "I'm saying," he said carefully, "we were both played." The room fell silent. Then he added, "And I intend to find out who did it. Because that baby, whether you believe it or not, it's mine, and nobody messes with what's mine." Lena stood frozen in the middle of the glass-walled penthouse, her mind spinning. Zane's words echoed in her head. "We were both played. That baby is mine. Nobody messes with what's mine." This wasn't real. It couldn't be. Things like this didn't happen to girls like her. Girls who saved themselves, who stayed out of trouble, who obeyed every rule. But here she was, pregnant, standing in front of a billionaire who claimed something dark and twisted had happened to both of them. She backed away from him. "I didn't come here for this," she whispered. "I just wanted to know what happened. I don't need your protection. I'm not your problem." Zane's jaw clenched, and for a brief second, a flicker of emotion crossed his face, something almost like guilt. "You're right. You didn't ask for any of this. But if someone tried to use you to get to me, then I have a responsibility to make it right." "Why would anyone use me?" she asked, her voice cracking. He looked at her, his eyes unreadable. "Because I've made enemies, people who would do anything to ruin my name, my legacy, or my bloodline." The word bloodline made her stomach twist. "This isn't a game, Lena," he continued. "You think this is just a scandal. No, it's deeper than that. If someone engineered this pregnancy, if someone wanted to tie you to me biologically, they're not going to." "Stop here." "Engineered," she repeated. "What are you saying, that this was planned, that someone planted a child in me? How is that even possible?" Zane hesitated, and that silence scared her more than any answer could have. "There are methods," he said carefully. "Things my company's biotech division has been developing. Things that shouldn't be public knowledge. And if someone used that technology without clearance..." Lena's breath caught. "You're telling me someone impregnated me without even touching me?" "I'm telling you, someone might have used you to create an heir," he said flatly. "A way to gain leverage. If the child is biologically mine, that means someone got access to my DNA and yours without either of us consenting." She felt sick. This wasn't a mistake. This was a violation. "Why me?" she whispered, tears stinging her eyes. "Why not someone rich, someone in your circle?" "Because you're clean," he said simply. "No drama, no ties. You wouldn't even fight it. You'd walk away quietly, right?" She nodded slowly, and he said, "Exactly. That's why you were chosen." The silence between them turned heavy. Then he reached into a drawer and slid a sleek silver folder across the marble table. Inside is everything we know so far: surveillance from the hotel, witness statements, lab reports. I've hired private investigators, but it's not enough. I need you to stay close until we find out who did this." Lena frowned. "You want me to move in with you?" "I want to protect you," he said, with a rare softness. "Whoever's behind this, they're dangerous, and if they went this far, they won't stop at just a pregnancy." She stared at him. The billionaire who once looked untouchable now looked worried, protective, almost human. Her heart pounded. "I don't trust you," she said finally. "Good," he replied. "You shouldn't, but trust me on this. You're not safe. You're not safe." Lena didn't sleep that night. She sat on the edge of a bed that didn't belong to her, in a room high above the city skyline. with her hands over her stomach, like she was trying to guard the child growing inside. A child she never asked for. A child that wasn't supposed to exist. Zane had insisted she stay at his penthouse until things calmed down. But calm wasn't possible now. She was stuck in a golden cage, guarded by silent men in suits who wouldn't even look her in the eye. Her phone had been swapped for a secure device. Her apartment. She wasn't allowed to go back. Too risky, Zane had said. If someone's after the baby, they'll come for you next. She should have screamed, cursed him, called a lawyer. But instead, she sat there in silence, too shocked to fight. By morning, she found herself in a private clinic, surrounded by white walls and strange machines. Zane sat beside her, dressed in black like always, talking in a low voice to the head doctor, a woman who looked more like a military officer than a physician. "We need full DNA verification," Zane said. "Mother, father, and any trace. Manipulation." The doctor nodded. "We'll keep it discreet." Lena flinched. "Wait, manipulation? You think someone edited the baby?" Zane didn't meet her eyes. "It's possible. There's tech that can alter embryos before implantation. If someone had access, they could have modified the child genetically." She blinked. "So, it might not even be a normal baby." "No one said that," he replied quickly, finally turning to her. "But it's not just about if the baby's mine. It's about why someone wanted this baby to exist in the first place." The thought made her nauseous. The tests were done in silence. Blood drawn, scans taken. When they left, the doctor promised results in 48 hours. Zane walked her back to the car himself, his hand lightly hovering near her lower back, protective, but never touching. She noticed that, how careful he was not to touch her. Inside the car, she finally asked the question she'd been too afraid to say out loud. "What if the baby really is yours?" He looked at her, his jaw set. "Then I'll raise it. And me," she whispered. "Do I get a say?" He hesitated. "I won't take your freedom," he said. "But I also won't let you walk away without knowing everything first. The truth matters, Lena, even if it's ugly." She stared out the window. "You really think someone used me like a test subject?" "Used us, Lena," he said. "This wasn't just about hurting you. It was about hurting me and whoever they are. They know how to hit where it counts." As the city blurred past them, Lena realized something chilling. This wasn't just a pregnancy. It was a setup, and she was the perfect pawn. That night, she tried to sleep again, but it was worse than before. She tossed and turned until she finally walked out to the penthouse balcony, needing air. That's when she saw it, a black car parked across the street with tinted windows and no plates. She turned back toward the living room and froze. A man was standing inside the apartment. Not Zane, not security, a stranger, tall, lean, and smiling like he knew her name before she even said a word. "Hello, Lena," he said softly. "You're exactly where they want you." Lena's blood turned to ice. The man in front of her wasn't just a stranger. He radiated something dangerous, calm, confident, and completely out of place in Zane King's penthouse. She didn't know how he got in, or how long he'd been there, but every instinct in her body told her this man wasn't here to help her. "Who are you?" she asked, stepping back slowly, trying to keep her voice steady. "I'm the man trying to keep you alive," he said, walking toward her without fear. "You've been lied to, Lena. Protected, sure, but lied to." She gripped the balcony rail behind her. "If Zane finds you here, Zane already knows about me," he interrupted. "He just doesn't want you to know." That stopped her. He pulled something from his pocket, a small flash drive. "Everything you think you know, it's all in here. Surveillance footage, lab access logs, DNA sample swaps. I can prove this whole thing was planned by people inside King Enterprises." "You're saying his own company did this?" "Not the company," the man said darkly. "People inside it. People who don't want Zane in control anymore. And they used you to weaken him." She shook her head, trying to make sense of it. "But why get me pregnant?" "Because you're leverage," he said flatly. "If a woman comes forward claiming to be pregnant with Zane King's child, and she's clean, innocent, has no connections, it creates a scandal, something corporate enemies can use, maybe even get him removed from his own board." Lena's knees felt weak. He stepped closer. "But there's more. That baby you're carrying, it's not just a political weapon. It might be modified, enhanced, part of a genetic experiment they've been keeping under wraps." She blinked. "That's insane, is it?" he challenged. Haven't you wondered why Zane is so calm, why he hasn't flipped out, or denied everything? It's because he knows something's off. He just won't tell you what. She stared at the flash drive in his hand. What do you want from me? Just watch this, tonight alone. And if you want the truth, all of it, meet me tomorrow. I'll text the location. And if I don't, then keep playing house with your billionaire, he said, turning toward the door. Just don't be surprised when you realize you were never the victim. You were the plan. He disappeared into the shadows before she could stop him. A minute later, Zane walked out of the bedroom, shirtless, his face tense. What was that noise? He asked. Lena's heart pounded. She didn't answer. He looked around, eyes scanning every corner. Did someone come in here? Still, she said nothing, just clutched the flash drive hidden behind her back. Zane's eyes locked onto hers. Lena, if someone talked to you, you need to tell me, right now. She shook her head. I'm tired. I just need to sleep. She turned and walked back into the guest room, closing the door behind her. Only when she was alone did she pull the drive out and stare at it under the soft lamp glow. Was it a trap, or the truth? Either way, the second she plugged it into the laptop, her life would never be the same. Lena stared at the flash drive like it was ticking. Her fingers hovered above the laptop for minutes that felt like hours. Her heart thudded against her ribs, whispering warnings she couldn't explain, but curiosity was louder than fear now. She needed to know. No more being the clueless girl caught in the storm. She took a deep breath and slid the drive in. The screen flickered, and a single folder appeared. It was labeled King Protocol, Project Echo. Her hand shook as she clicked. Inside were dozens of video files, encrypted documents, and one audio recording marked, for subject Lena, our confidential level read. She clicked that first. A voice came through, not the man from earlier, and not Zane either. It was a woman, cold, robotic. Subject R has been selected due to genetic compatibility, public anonymity, and psychological vulnerability. Implantation. Procedure carried out under controlled sedation post-Gatler. Subject has no recollection. DNA matches confirmed. Zane King remains unaware of Phase 2. Lena's breath caught. Implantation. Controlled sedation. No recollection. It was all real. She wasn't crazy. She had been used. They had drugged her, violated her, and somehow, someway, inserted a child inside her without her consent. A child created with Zane's DNA. The videos were worse. One showed a dimly lit lab. She recognized it, the private clinic she'd been in just days earlier. Only, this time, it wasn't her sitting in the chair. It was another girl, younger, crying, restrained, begging. Lena turned the volume down. She couldn't listen. She opened one more file, a conversation transcript between two names she didn't recognize, but the topic was clear. Agent 1, she's perfect. He'll never suspect her. Agent 2, and the baby, Agent 1, modified, intelligence boost, neural mapping enhancements. Phase 3 starts once it's born. Agent 2, King won't hand it over. Agent 1, he won't have to. She'll bring it right to us. Lena slammed the laptop shut. She couldn't breathe. Her baby wasn't just a baby. It was a project, a weapon, a living experiment wrapped in innocence. She stumbled to the bathroom and threw up until her throat burned. Everything she believed, her safety, Zane's protection, the doctor's tests, all of it was a lie. She had been walking through a trap from the very beginning. The next morning, she didn't eat, didn't speak. Zane noticed, of course. He watched her at breakfast like a man waiting for something to explode. "You're quiet," he said gently. "Did you know?" she asked, barely above a whisper. "About Project Echo." His fork paused mid-air. Silence. She stared at him, her hands clenched. "Don't lie to me, Zane, please, not now." He slowly set the fork down. His face shifted. Not guilty, but something worse. Cautious. "I knew there were experiments happening in the genetics division," he said slowly. "But I shut them down 2 years ago, at least. I thought I did. So what happened to me wasn't authorized by me, but it happened in your company, under your name." "I know." Lena stood up. "You should have told me everything the moment I stepped into this damn apartment." He stood too. "I didn't want to scare you. You didn't want to lose control." He didn't deny it. Lena grabbed her coat. "Where are you going?" he asked, panic flashing in his voice. "I'm going to find the man who gave me the truth," she said, fire in her chest. "Because you gave me luxury. But he gave me answers. But he gave me answers." She left without another word, and this time, No one stopped her. The city felt colder that day. Lena walked fast, hood pulled over her head, heart pounding like a war drum in her chest. She'd memorized the meeting location from the text that came earlier that morning. Pier 17, noon, come alone. No name, no details, just instructions, like she was in some twisted spy movie. Except the thing she was carrying inside her wasn't fiction. The pier was mostly empty, except for a few fishermen and a man leaning against a rusted railing with dark sunglasses and a cigarette he wasn't even smoking. It was him, the man from the penthouse. "You came," he said, not surprised. "I saw the files," Lena said, standing her ground. "I know everything now." He nodded. "Good. Then you understand how deep this goes." "I don't understand anything," she said, her voice sharp. "But I know I was used, and I want to know who's behind it." He pulled out a phone and slid it toward her. "Press play." She hesitated, then tapped the screen. A video began. Grainy surveillance footage from a high-level boardroom. The room was filled with men and women in expensive suits, and at the head of the table was a face she never expected to see. Dr. Alina Graves, the same cold, tight-lipped woman who had run her prenatal test at the private clinic. The same woman who had said, "We'll keep it discreet." She was standing before a screen, presenting charts and data with surgical precision. "Project Echo is proceeding ahead of schedule," she was saying. "Subject R has accepted her condition, unaware of the manipulation. The fetus shows accelerated cognitive patterning. We estimate full neural imprinting by week 30. A man off camera spoke, and King, still in the dark, emotionally compromised, she said without flinching. "He believes he's protecting her. He has no idea he's doing exactly what we want." Lena's blood ran cold. The man pocketed the phone. "They planned every step," he said. "Even your reaction. Even him falling for you." She looked at him sharply. "He doesn't love me." "You sure?" he asked. "Because from what I've seen, Zane King doesn't move heaven and earth for just anybody." She turned away, fists clenched, trying to breathe through the rage and confusion burning in her chest. "What do they want with the baby?" The man's face darkened. "To raise it, train it, turn it into a corporate prototype for next-generation intelligence. Imagine the child of 2 high-Q subjects, modified, monitored, and controlled from birth. It's not just a baby. It's an asset." Lena suddenly felt the urgent need to protect the life growing inside her like never before. "They're not taking this baby." He nodded. "Good. Then we're on the same page." She narrowed her eyes. "Why are you helping me?" He paused. "Because I used to work for them. I helped design the first generation of these programs. But I never signed off on this. This forced breeding experiment. They went too far. And now you want redemption." "No," he said simply. "I want revenge." Before Lena could speak, the wind picked up, and behind them, 3 black SUVs rolled into the pier's entrance like wolves closing in. "Get down," the man shouted, grabbing her arm and pulling her behind a stack of crates, just as bullets shattered the air. Gunfire erupted, echoing across the water. Lena screamed as the man returned fire with precision, yelling. "They followed. You led them straight to us. I didn't tell anyone. They don't need you to. You've got a tracker." He grabbed her wrist and yanked up her sleeve. There it was. A small dot just under her skin. Surgical high-tech. "When did they?" "The clinic," he growled. "They knew you'd run." He ripped the tracker out in one quick motion, and Lena cried out, clutching her arm. Sirens began to rise in the distance. "They'll fake the whole thing," he warned. "Say I kidnapped you. Say you went crazy. That the baby was never real. If they get their hands on you now, they'll erase everything. What do we do?" He looked her dead in the eyes. "We disappear." Lena didn't know how long they ran. The city blurred behind her, replaced by back roads, freight trains, and abandoned warehouses on the edge of nowhere. No phones, no credit cards, no names. Just her, the man she still didn't fully trust, and the child growing inside her, the only thing that felt real anymore. 3 days later, they were deep in a remote safe house, hidden under fake identities. She didn't recognize her own reflection anymore. The girl who used to wear cardigans and read romance novels at her desk was now waking up with nightmares, clutching a stolen pistol under her pillow. The fear didn't leave, even when the guns stopped firing. She didn't hear from Zane, and that hurt more than she expected. Maybe he believed the lies they'd fed him, that she was unstable, that she ran off with his child. Maybe he never really trusted her, or maybe he was just afraid of what she had become. Still, Her nights were haunted by him. His voice, his touch, his face, the night she walked out. And then, on the 7th morning, everything shattered. The man watching over her, the ex-agent, burst into the kitchen holding a burner phone, eyes wide. They found us. Her heart dropped. I don't know, but they're close. We need to go now. She reached for her coat, but the sudden boom of an explosion rocked the ground beneath them. The window shattered, and Lena dropped to the floor, shielding her stomach with both hands. Voices, boots, orders being barked. They were coming for her. The man fired back from the hallway, but it was no use. Too many of them. She crawled toward the back door, teeth gritted, breathing hard, and then froze. He stood there, covered in dust, shirt torn, a pistol in one hand and rage in his eyes. "Lena," he shouted, running toward her. She couldn't move, couldn't speak. Behind him, chaos. But when he reached her, everything else faded. "I found the files," he said, helping her up. "All of them. You were right. About everything. I should have told you. I should have fought harder." She choked back a sob. "You believed them." "I was scared," he whispered. "Not of you, of myself, of what I let them do behind my back." A bullet ripped past them, hitting the wall. Zane pulled her close. "You still trust me?" She didn't answer with words. She just nodded. They ran together, bullets flying, fire catching on the curtains, sirens screaming in the distance. The ex-agent covered them until he was taken down, a silent sacrifice that Lena would never forget. They reached the car, drove fast, away from the smoke, the lies, the empire. 2 hours later, they crossed the state line under new names, new plates, and fake papers bought with real fear. Zane held her hand the whole way. He didn't speak until the motel room light flickered on. "I've stepped down," he told her. "From the company. I gave the press everything, every file, every name, every experiment." She stared at him, stunned. "You destroyed your legacy." He looked at her, eyes full of something raw and honest. "I didn't. I saved it. My legacy's in you, in that child. I won't let them turn what's ours into a weapon." Her eyes filled with tears. "What happens now?" she asked. Zane smiled, exhausted but real. "We disappear. Together this time." And they did. 9 months later, in a quiet cabin hidden deep in the mountains. Lena gave birth to a baby boy, eyes sharp like his father's, heart innocent like his mother's. They named him Chance, because after everything, that's what he was, a second chance. For her, for Zane, and for a life no one could manipulate again.